Alright, so check this out. We lost about 4 hours of time in 30 seconds. I'm not sure if this is considered a glitch, a time slip, or just some delusion, but this is something that happened to me and my family that we can't explain. Summer of 2011. In the car was me, 19 at the time, my sister, my dad, and my stepmom, and we were on our way to a campsite. We had other family joining us. My uncle and Nan, both arriving separately, called us saying that they were setting off, asked if we needed anything from the shops, and then to let us know their estimated arrival time. We were over halfway there, and they would be arriving about 3 hours after us. We carried on driving, switched radio stations, and went through a tunnel, and when we came out, the phone was ringing. It was my Nan asking where we were, kind of relieved that she got a hold of us. My Nan and uncle had already arrived at the campsite, and my dad said,
"Oh, you're already there. Save us a pitch then."
And my Nan responded,
"Where have you been, if you're still even on your way?"
The conversation didn't make sense, and my dad got frustrated and said,
"What do you mean, where have we been? You just spoke to us."
My Nan told us,
"We've been calling you because we couldn't get a hold of you."
My stepmom pointed to the time on the radio, and about 4 hours had passed. 4 hours passed in 30 seconds. My dad ended the call with my Nan, and for a moment, we were all silent. My sister said, "What's going on?" And my dad said the time must have changed when we changed the radio station, and our family was just playing some dumb joke. Our phones showed that time had passed. Again, silence. We arrived to the campsite, briefly spoke about it with the family, and just ignored it. We've spoke about it maybe 2 or 3 times since then, and my dad is either convinced that we went through, I don't know, some sort of time vortex, he calls it, or that we got abducted, or we were jokingly drugged by our stepmom. My stepmom says that we must have got the times wrong, or at worst, had some sort of shared delusion or amnesia. Either way, we don't know what happened, and maybe never will. Everyone, except my very logical husband, believed that my glasses were all blue, but now they're black and blue. In 2018, I bought all blue framed glasses from Walmart. I loved the color blue. I had blue Vans, a blue purse, as much blue as I could get, including these new glasses. Then a couple years ago, I had a baby, and I started to think that my blue glasses were kind of childish, so naturally I just stopped taking selfies in them, but I still wore them every day and everywhere that I went. 2 days ago, I was driving home. I looked in my rearview mirror and I was shocked. My glasses are now black on the front, but the sides were still blue. Of course, I was like, oh, what the frosted flakes? Did my husband prank me on April 1st, but I just never noticed? I texted my husband asking what color my glasses are, and he texted back, they're blue and black. And he also confirmed that he was not pranking me. I texted my mom. She says, they're blue. Why? And I explained, and she said, that's so funny. I thought they were all blue, and I've always thought that you bought the kids' ones. I text my mother-in-law, and she says they're blue. Why? Then I tell her no, they're actually black. I text my BFF since middle school, and they replied, I remember when you left those glasses at my apartment around 2017 or 2018, and I know they're blue. We were with each other nearly every day for 2 years at one point. They were definitely blue. My little sister also said that my old ones were all blue, but my new ones were black and blue. But I don't know, I never bought new ones. It's always been blue. All of us, except for my husband, have been looking through pictures to find my blue glasses, but they're all black and blue. I thought that maybe they just turned black over time, but there's absolutely no photos of my all blue glasses. The past pictures that I see of myself on Instagram, Facebook, and even in my phone are all with me wearing black and blue glasses. I've seen these pictures so many times before. I know they were all blue. Everyone agrees, even my sister-in-law that I met 2 years ago. I feel crazy, but I know I'm not crazy. I just need to hear other people talk about this, and I want to know if anyone's experienced anything similar. I'm not sure what happened. I posted this in the Parallel Universe subreddit as well because I want answers and to not feel crazy. Also, thinking about it, the inside of the glasses are also blue. So I think the fact that people say old glasses blue, new glasses black and blue makes my thinking even more valid. Because these could be seen as all blue with a glance, but people noticed the change and they say that they're different glasses. Hope that makes sense. I'm obviously not able to convince myself and everyone around me that they've always been black and blue, but hey, it is what it is. I have another pair of glasses that I never wore because I was so used to wearing my blue ones, and they look nothing alike, by the way. So I think I'm just going to wear those from now on. Maybe at least until this glitch settles. For now, I'll just focus on the fact that my daughter's last day of school is tomorrow, and I have to find a way to keep a toddler and a kid happy/entertained at the same time for 3 months. Thanks for not making me feel insane, and for being so chill. Saw a man walking twice, miles apart, within approximately 5 minutes. I've been on this sub for years, and I don't usually read much that's posted, but something just happened to me, and I'm at a loss. It happened about 30 minutes ago. I left to go pick up my child from school. I have my 2 toddlers with me, so I planned on stopping by Sonic for drinks and snacks. On the way, I saw a very distinct-looking man carrying a black trash bag over his left shoulder. He was walking along the highway headed east. I pass him, I pull into Sonic, and place my order, and they bring the order out rather quickly. I'd say it was there for maybe 4 or 5 minutes. I hand the food to my kids and we get back on the road. I hit the main highway again, and about 2 miles, traveling west, I see the same man with his bag over the left shoulder walking east. But he's about 2 miles back from the initial spot that I saw him in. I've been running through scenarios in my mind, and I don't know, I can't make much sense of it. Say he got a ride in that short time that I was stopped. Why would he be let out miles back from where he was, only to walk east again? There's no way he traveled back that quickly. He didn't seem out of breath or stressed, just, walking rather relaxed, carrying that big bag. I hope this is making as much sense as it can. Does anyone have any thoughts, or have you experienced similar? I can't believe this is where I'm turning to answers, but I can't think of an explanation. I called my husband immediately after, and he joked that it was a glitch in the Matrix, and it's freaky that this is the answer that makes the most sense. I don't know. I feel like I'm losing my mind. "30 minutes missing." Okay, I believe you. We are definitely in a matrix. I live in a small town in Belgium, and something very strange happened to my partner and me. It all started on Tuesday, May 21st, 2024. We had to go to a party for her birthday and to celebrate her new job at a restaurant with her parents. As usual in Belgium, it was raining. raining all the way there, and it continued to rain once we arrived. We went to Namer, which is about an hour away, and we arrived at the restaurant with her parents, and everything went very well. I realized that I had parked my car poorly and moved it before starting the main course, and it was still raining outside. I went back inside, finished the meal, and everything was still great. At the end of the evening, everyone said goodbye and we were all happy. We headed back home in the rain. We were talking, and I asked her to stop talking because I needed to concentrate so I wouldn't miss the upcoming exit off the highway in about 50 meters. It was raining so hard that I thought it was becoming dangerous. Suddenly, I blinked, and it felt like we were no longer in the same place. I looked at the signs and I realized that we were near Mons, 30 minutes past my intended exit. And even stranger, it wasn't raining anymore, and there wasn't even a single drop of water on the road. I was puzzled, and I said I must have missed the exit, but driving 30 minutes further seemed extra strange. She told me that all she remembered was that it was raining. She stopped talking when I asked her to, and then nothing. It was as if we'd been amnesiac for 30 minutes. I turned around on the road in Mons to head back in the direction we came from. The cars were all dry, and there was no rain on the ground again. I drove home, got out of the car, and I looked at it. The car was so dry that I saw what looked like dry dust on the windows and my car overall. My partner and I never understood what happened. I had vaguely heard of this glitch theory in the past, but now I really feel like I just experienced it. I messaged with this person directly, and they told me that their name was Nathan and their partner's name is Amandine. Nathan asked Amandine directly how she felt again objectively about a day after this passed, and Amandine told Nathan that she hadn't slept the whole day. She was very focused on the road because she was so afraid of having an accident, and the last thing she remembers is a truck was dangerously close to the car, and then nothing. As if the event had just never happened. The next moment, they were no longer in the same place. That's Amandine's retelling of her side of the story. I couldn't be found. This happened a few years back. It was my first day of school in a new town. I got off the bus and walked home, and when I got home, everyone in the house was asleep, so I figured I'd take a nap since the summer destroyed my schedule. I woke up and it was late at night. Nothing out of the usual for a teenage gamer. When I sat up in bed, my stepmom, at the time, was in my room looking through my closet. When she noticed me started freaking out, she asked me where I've been. I told her exactly what happened. I said I came home, everyone was asleep, and so I went to bed. Little did I know there were 2 cops in the living room because my stepmom reported me missing. I have no idea how she couldn't have found me if I was in bed for the whole time. Maybe 8 hours went by from the time I came home to when the police were called. About a week later, we had our jungle of a backyard mowed by my stepmom's father. He noticed that the screen on my window was taken off. Because of this, no one believed me when I told them my side of the story. I've tried to talk about it with her and her family a few times after that, and they just immediately become super standoffish with me and then get angry and then tell me that I'm lying. I've pretty much come to terms with the fact that I'll never fully know what happened, but it freaks me out because this isn't the only time it's happened to me, but definitely the first time the police have been called. Any theories? Watch mysteriously appeared in another state. I think this is my first glitch. My grandmother with dementia has been hiding her jewelry, amongst other things, for some time. When we go visit, we collect the jewelry that we find so that we can put it in a safety deposit box. Before the safety deposit box was purchased, all the jewelry came to my house a state away. My mother eventually collected everything and brought them back with her to put in the safety deposit box. We forgot to take the one small and very old Rolex. When I realized it was forgotten, I called her and I told her. She said, "Keep it in your safe, and when I come back, I'll grab it." It sat in my safe for months and months. My mom kept forgetting to take it, and I kept forgetting to give it to her. I went into my safe a couple of weeks ago to collect a birth certificate, and I remember seeing the watch. Every time I open the safe, I see the watch, and if I don't see it, I check to make sure that it's in there somewhere. Well, a week later, when I was putting the birth certificate back into the safe, the watch was gone. I started freaking out, and honestly, I started crying. I'd just seen it the last time I was in there, but now it's like it's vanished. I called my mother hysterical, telling her that I lost the watch, telling her how sorry I was for losing it. And then she immediately says, "Honey, the watch is right here." But how? I never gave it to her. I hadn't even seen her. She lives like 4.5 hours away. She then FaceTimes me, and what do I see on the screen? A little small, very old Rolex. The same Rolex that I saw in my safe a week ago. I'm still kind of freaked out. This was important to me, so I know I would have remembered taking it out to give it to her, but I remember seeing it in there the week before. I hope you don't think this is a lame glitch, but I mean, this definitely freaked me out. Disappearance. So, I was hiking in the woods when I came into an open field. There was a group of 3 people. There were 4, but I'll get to that. And they were all just chilling, walking around with drinks. And there was a person who was looking at me while walking, and they seemed to be, I don't know, almost gliding, like they were on skates. I know that couldn't be because it was obvious that they were just wearing plain Nikes and were standing in a grass field next to a hiking trail. But from my point of view, they were about to pass behind another man, but instead of passing, they just disappeared the moment that they went behind the person and never popped back out on the other side. I started walking around, looking at every angle, but I saw nothing. They were just gone, and they were staring directly at me just moments before. None of my friends recall seeing this person, and I'm super perplexed. There was absolutely nowhere that they could have gone. Farm animal glitch. This happened to me a couple of years ago, and I still haven't been able to shake it all the way. I live in a rural area about 30 minutes from the nearest large town. At the time, I was pregnant and frequented a road lined with farms on my way to the doctor. There are a lot of farm animals on the properties lining this road, like chickens, ducks, horses, even alpacas, the whole 9 yards. One day, I was driving to my doctor and I passed property that was filled with various animals who are usually moving around, making noise, farm animal things. Note that I've driven past this spot many times before and continue to presently. However, on this day, when I turned at the corner where the property is, all of the animals were standing completely still, frozen in time. I turned off my radio and it was also completely silent. It was the most eerie thing, and I completely felt like the simulation hadn't finished loading by the time I got there. I slowed down to almost a full stop to ensure that I wasn't just making things up, but sure enough, every single farm animal was silent and completely still. I mean, I genuinely thought about turning around to take a video, but something told me that I needed to get out of there quickly once I confirmed what I was seeing. I remember calling my husband and being very freaked out. He suggested that I drive the same way home and check things out. By then, everything was back to normal. To this day, every time I drive on that road, I turn off my radio and I keep my eyes peeled to see if the animals are behaving regularly or if they're stuck in the glitch that I experienced in the story above. You ever have something vanish right next to you? I just bought a new mouse for myself today since it's Black Friday. I go home and I open it and I see a couple of pages of instructions and then a cloth to clean it and a sheet of stickers to put on the mouse as a protective layer. I was in a game, so I placed the stickers to my side because I was going to put them on after to see how it felt, and then I look and they're gone. Everything but the sheet of stickers is there. I check the floor, under the couch next to me, under the tables, and it's just gone. I don't expect everyone here to believe it, but I literally ceased to exist, and this happened inside of my car. Oh, it says, it literally ceased to exist. Okay, I thought we were being dramatic. I don't expect everyone here to believe it, but it literally ceased to exist, and this has happened inside of my car many times, where things are dropped under the seats, and even a detailer says that it isn't there. I'm starting to think that I'm going crazy. An interesting but mundane glitch. This glitch happened 3 weeks ago, and I'd like to tell it while the events are fresh in my mind. I breed chickens. I have 2 children aged 5 and 6. 3 weeks ago, a hen that we had set eggs under was hatching her chickens. Out of 7 eggs, 5 had hatched on the first day. In the evening, my 2 kids and I went to check on the chicks. I took my egg candling torch to check the 2 eggs that hadn't hatched. And for those that don't know, candling an egg is basically like placing an egg over top of a light source in a dark area. The light shines through the egg and it allows you to see the shadow of what's inside. So you can see if there's little embryos in there wiggling around. Anyway, I've built large wooden enclosures for the purpose of hens hatching chicks, and these are located under the annex of a large garage. We took the 2 unhatched eggs and went into the garage, as it's darker and easier to candle the eggs. I took my egg torch from my pocket and I candled the first egg. I could tell there was a fully developed chicken inside, and I showed my kids. I then took the second egg, candled it, and the egg was clear and not fertile. I said, "There's nothing in this one," and I put the torch back in my pocket. My 5-year-old didn't get a good look at the second egg, as I had turned my back away from the light coming from the entrance, and my kid said, "Can I have a look?" I pulled the torch back out of my pocket, and my audible reaction was, "What the?" My eldest child immediately exclaimed, "That's a different torch. That's my torch." And it was. It was no longer the egg torch, but her personal torch. I checked my pockets, no egg torch. I tried using this glitched torch to candle the egg, but no matter how I tried, it wasn't possible to candle the egg with this particular torch. My kids were amazed. "Magic is real," they both said. We went back to the house and found the real egg torch in the location that we keep all the torches. I still can't reasonably explain what happened, but I'm glad that my kids got to share this little experience with me. I just went back 1 hour. I'm here in bed, and I see the time hits 10:30. My fiance goes downstairs to make a late night snack, and I ask her to get me a bag of chips, and I check the time. I see that it's 10:35, and I remark that I shouldn't eat so late because of my acid reflux. I also remembered that I needed to take my regular sleeping meds before going to bed. I check the time on my phone, and then the clock on my wall. The clock is 1 hour behind since I've been too lazy to adjust it because of daylight savings time, and it says 9:40. I get my chips, I eat them, and then I see a long YouTube video in my feed and think, you know what? Kicks it. I'll squeeze it in before bed. Halfway through the long video, I get a text from my fiancé. Then I see that the time is 10:07. I look at the clock, 9:07. And I'm seriously freaking out right now. I text my friend, and she says that she's seen stories about this on Reddit and on YouTube. Now that I've seen the same stuff happen to others, it's weird that I'm noticing it happen to me. I'm afraid to tell my fiance in case she thinks I'm crazy. Classmate glitched through the corridors. Sorry if this is a common occurrence among the regulars here, but this has never happened to me before. I'm reading up on some courses through adult education, and yesterday I had my final exam in math. I had just arrived at my school and was walking through the corridors towards the classroom when I met one of my classmates going the opposite direction. We both said hello, and then we both kept moving. I went straight for the classroom, no detours, and when I arrived, he was already there. The same person sitting at his regular desk. He was engaged in conversation with another classmate, and I was too surprised and embarrassed to even say anything. I've been thinking about it constantly since yesterday when it happened. Like, how did he get there ahead of me when he was walking in the opposite direction? I know he didn't run past me or anything. Anyway, the exam went well, and thank you for reading. Same guy driving at least 5 different cars at the same time. I was talking to someone outside when I noticed out of the corner of my eye that something seemed unusual with the drivers on the road beside us. It seemed like everyone that was driving was bald, so I took a look and they all looked the same. After I confirmed what I saw in my peripheral vision, I saw 5 different cars with the same bald guy with white t-shirts driving after one another. The cars that weren't already in my vision started having normal people again. There was probably more cars with the same dude too, but I only saw them in my periph, so I can only know for sure that 5 of them were the same person or at least extremely similar. I pointed it out to my friend, but they only saw 2 of them because they were a bit late to notice, and I was too stunned to even think to bring it up quick enough. Somebody in the comments mentioned not enough bandwidth in that area to create unique characters or people. I like that. My dog appeared outside, and I have no idea how. So, prior to this experience, I didn't even really know what a true glitch in the Matrix was, but I'm now convinced that this is exactly what I experienced. The title is pretty much what happened. My house has a front door and a back door. The back door leads onto a porch, and the porch opens up to the backyard. My yard isn't fenced, so my dog goes outside on a tether attached to a tree. She's never out there without supervision. My house isn't a large house, and you can hear the various closet, pantry, bedroom, all the doors open and shut from pretty much anywhere in the house. My dog, Church, is a sweet and rambunctious Belgian Malinois hound mix. She isn't a bad dog. She's only 2.5 years old, and she is not a quiet girl. She's talkative and just generally noisy when she walks, always carrying a toy and squeaking it, or tearing through the house, or speaking her mind and demanding breakfast. I tell you all of this so that you have a better idea of why I am 100% certain that the events of this morning transpired as follows. 2 nights ago, my boyfriend slept over. I have a roommate, but tonight she was sleeping at her boyfriend's place, so we had the house to ourselves. This isn't out of the ordinary, really. My boyfriend and I stay at each other's houses often. Church sleeps in bed with me/us, and I sleep with my bedroom door shut. My bedroom door has a wooden sign on it that clunks against the door when you open it, and the clunk can be heard from the bathroom. I wake up, as is my usual routine, at about 6:15 in the morning, and get out of bed at about 6:30. My boyfriend loves Church and is typically the one who puts her out and brings her in the mornings, so they usually cuddle in bed while I make coffee and tea and pack our lunches. I left my room, shutting the door behind me. I went into the bathroom, which is just a few steps away, and I shut the bathroom door as well. I was brushing my teeth when I heard the familiar clunk of my sign as my bedroom door opened, and then I heard the door shut as well. I then heard my boyfriend walking down the hallway into the living room, and I didn't hear the dog walking, and I didn't hear the door open again. A few minutes later, as I was doing my hair, I heard my boyfriend go in and out of my bedroom again. Still, no puppy footsteps, no back door opening, just my boyfriend carrying out his typical morning routine. Now would be a good time to note that I have hardwood floors. I would have heard her feet on the floor and her collar jangling. It is not possible for this dog to sneak past me. I left the bathroom at about 6:40 a.m. and found my boyfriend putting his shoes on at the front door. He let me know that he needed to leave because he had forgotten something at home and needed to grab it from his house before leaving for work. We said goodbye, and then he headed out, and I headed into the kitchen to finish packing my lunch. At around 6:50 a.m., I heard whining. I stopped and I said to myself, shoot, I need to let the dog out. And I walked into my room. As I was walking, I was even talking to Church, saying, "Oh, lady, I'm so sorry. Your dad usually puts you out in the mornings." I opened the door and I found nothing. My room was totally empty. My boyfriend had fixed his side of the bed up as normal, but Church was nowhere to be found. Confused, I walked outside, unlocked the top and bottom lock of the back door, went out onto the porch, and there she was, tethered, unsupervised, and whining to be let in for breakfast. I was totally shocked. It's not like my boyfriend at all to leave her outside, ever, especially without telling me or letting her in before he leaves. He just wouldn't do that. And again, there was no way that Church could have made it through the bedroom door, down the hall, through the kitchen, and out the back door without me hearing it. It's especially impossible for them both to make it past me. But, I started to doubt myself, and as my boyfriend has never lied to me before, I decided to ask him. I just wanted to understand what happened. So imagine my surprise when I asked him about leaving the dog outside, and he was genuinely confused as to what I was talking about. I said, "Hey, I don't understand why you didn't tell me Church was outside." He said, "What do you mean? She was in your room on the bed when I left. I even double-checked before I went to put my shoes on that she was all good." I said, "But she was outside this morning." He replied, "I have absolutely no idea how that happened because she was in your room when I left. I would never put her outside and leave her out there, not even telling you." And I'm sure I've stressed this enough, but there just isn't a way that my dog could have made it past me without me knowing. I would have heard her. At the very least, I would have heard the back door open and close, and the back door was locked, just like it was the night before. My boyfriend never locks the door behind him when he plans on going back outside in a few minutes to let her in. He knows how important my dog is to me, and that's not something he would do as a prank or a joke. He knows that I hate practical jokes, and he'd never do anything remotely pranky. I'm truly at a loss here. My dog seems normal. Everything else about my house seems normal. She just, I don't know, magically appeared outside. I really hope that it never happens again. Accidental glitch. Yesterday, I drove around with a friend of mine, and as we always do, we just listened to some music, and we also wanted to watch the northern lights due to the unusual sun eruption. We always just drive from one sleepy town to another on the roads that we know. As we did, my friend saw a gas station on the road and was shocked by the cheap prices on the sign. Then we came to a roundabout and just drove in one direction, not caring about where the road would lead us. But we came to the same roundabout again, so this time we took another direction. After driving around a little, we saw a lamp where a cat was standing, and we came to the same roundabout again. We started to feel weird about that fact, so we took a different direction because now we were ready to go home. As we drove, we almost ran over a badger, which we had never seen before. That was weird, and then we came to that same roundabout again. We just didn't understand how that was possible. So we took another direction and finally felt like we found a way out. Because we came to 2 other towns, so at least we were making some progress. Only to realize, though, that we were back at the same roundabout again. So, we took one of the directions only to be in front of that light again where we saw the cat earlier. That was especially shocking to us because we took a completely different turn out of the roundabout. So, we are now freaking out, and we come to the same roundabout yet again. My heart skipped a beat because we noticed the gas station just beside that roundabout. We didn't notice or feel like it was exactly beside earlier, but we weren't totally sure. Stressed about not finding a way out, I started searching for my pack of almonds that I ate earlier that day in the back seat. But they were nowhere to be found. Like, they just disappeared, and I couldn't find them. Finally, after what felt like 20 minutes, we somehow drove home, but were unsure if we had just imagined something weird and got lost. When I was home, my friend told me that he didn't want to freak me out, but he noticed the gas tank remained exactly the same and didn't drop any less in that time that we were driving. I don't know, it just felt very weird, and I wasn't sure what to think. I discovered this subreddit and wanted to share this experience to hear some others' opinions. Also, I saw like 8 cats on that road, and I've never seen so many in one night. I don't know why that weirded me out, but we also saw like, I don't know, maybe 5 other cars, so the roads weren't completely empty. I really just would like an answer. I already posted to the Liminal Spaces subreddit and the Paranormal subreddit yesterday, but nobody's gotten back to me. Maybe someone can help me out here. After reading thousands of Glitch in the Matrix stories, my only advice is really don't trust cats and don't stare at lamps too hard. Let's do some more. Histology plate changed in front of my eyes. One of my classes this semester is Histology, which means I have lab periods where we look at and analyze plates of different human tissues. One day, while doing so, I picked one up and I noticed that it didn't look anything alike to what the guide was saying. I was supposed to be looking at blood cells, which are like small pink orbs, yet mine was just a straight black line with like tendrils going off to the side. I vividly remember chuckling and saying to myself, "This one's just a straight line." I was so confused, so I asked one of my professors to come over and look at it with me. He asked me which one it was, and I told him it was the blood cells. I have no idea how, but when I looked it over while he focused it, it changed. Now, it was clearly blood cells, little small pink orbs. Somehow, this plate changed both structure and tint in almost the blink of an eye. He didn't change the plate at all and was amused that I couldn't recognize the structure at first glance. I asked everyone in my group afterwards if they had seen that plate, but nobody said that they had. None of the teachers had seen one by that description either. I really wish that I had taken a picture of it before it changed. The closest thing I can think was that it was reticular fibers, but even then, the cut itself was strange. Everything about it just felt off. I felt like somehow I wasn't supposed to see it, and when I decided to ask somebody else, the universe decided to fix it. Lost 2 hours of time. Hey y'all, new to the community, but this happened back in 2021. I used to deliver laundry for a large uniform launderer. My days were the same weekly, as in on Mondays I'd go to the same 20 places, same with Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and so on. The biggest account of my week was serviced on Thursdays. It's a large auto manufacturing plant. All I delivered to them were uniforms, but there was about 350 to maybe 400 employees total. Multiply that by exchanging 3 to 5 uniform sets per employee, it was a lot of garments going in and coming out. In order to make the delivery as seamless as possible, the uniforms needed to be loaded into the truck a certain way to match up with the employee lockers. I would start my Thursdays a bit earlier than any other day to ensure that I had everything as organized as possible. When all was said and done, I'd get to the plant by about 7 a.m., and I'd be done servicing the whole account by no later than 9:30. On this particular day, absolutely nothing was out of the ordinary. I arrived to work on time, had my product, loaded my truck, dispatched. I arrived at the plant at about 7 a.m. and proceeded as normal. It was a completely ordinary day. The plant had 2 buildings with locker rooms. I'd serviced the larger of the 2 first, and I remember checking the clock after exiting the first building, and everything was running on time. I serviced the second building and loaded the truck up to return to depot so I could unload and reload to carry out the rest of my day. And I noticed the sun feeling more direct and hotter than it should have been for 9:30-ish a.m. Well, I checked the clock and it was 11:45. I thought for sure the clock was wrong. I checked my phone, 11:45. I had lost over 2 hours and I have no explanation for how or why. I even called my wife when I realized what time it was, and I kinda had a minor panic attack over the phone. She obviously couldn't explain it to me either. To round out the story, for the rest of my day I was just 2 hours behind schedule. I didn't get back the time that I lost, and I truly have zero explanation as to how this could have happened. I think about this experience very often. My dog just phased through the door. We have a very regular routine Saturday mornings. My partner and I both work, and we leave together early. Dogs get breakfast, they potty, and they come back inside for 6 hours until I get home. We had a doggy door, but we very firmly sealed it because 2 of our dogs like to jump the 4-foot fence and intrude on the neighbors. They have dogs too, and our dogs just like to play. Well, I got home today, and our back fence was still locked with this wonky lock that my partner put on. I struggled to get it on and off. It's a metal loop that goes over the latch. My mailman has commented on how difficult it is, and he just brings the mail to the other door. Confirmed, nobody came in the yard. Also, there's snow and no unfamiliar prints outside our gate. I went inside and looked, and the doggy door is still firmly in place. The other 2 dogs didn't get outside, and if there was an easy way out, they for sure would have. We have snow, and my husky loves sleeping in it and grumps when I make him come inside. I checked the cameras, and it shows us letting them out in the morning, and it shows us putting them back in. Then 3 hours of nothing except neighbors and cars going by. And then poof, suddenly we have a dog in the yard. He looks very confused on camera too. It's wintertime and we don't have any open windows or anything. I went through the whole house because I didn't find any place that he could have gotten out. Did my dog just walk through a solid door? The sun blinked. Okay, so I was going through posts in this sub and I suddenly remembered a short but weird incident that happened years ago when I was in school. It was around 1 or 2 in the afternoon at school, and my friend and I decided to skip a class and pass our time in an empty classroom. The classroom had a ledge below the board, and there were windows on the wall opposite to it. We were sitting on the ledge and talking for a while before we thought of checking something in the drawers below the ledge. So we turn around, and a second after that, the sunlight suddenly blinks once. We briefly looked at each other with a face that said, "What in the Lucky Charms was that?" I remember checking if there were any artificial lights on, and there weren't. The windows were huge, so we were sure it couldn't have been a bird or something. And there were multiple windows. We acknowledged the fact that this was very weird, but forgot about it a few days later. I don't know. I randomly remember it sometimes, and I think about what it could have been. We both reacted to it at the same time, so I know for a fact it wasn't just something silly like us blinking without realizing it. Seeing the same people in an impossible space of time. One morning, I decided to walk my son a different route to school. I would be making a full circle around the block, dropping him off to school, and then continuing on until I find myself back home again. This round trip takes about 20 minutes. While walking him to school, we passed a blonde, curly-haired lady on her bicycle with her daughter. A little while later, I passed a dark-haired lady with a baby in a stroller. Of course, I thought nothing of it, as I've passed many other people. I dropped my son off to school and continued my walk home. About 10 minutes later, I saw the same curly-haired blonde lady who was previously on her bike, but this time she was jogging on the opposite side of the road next to me. I found it odd, but maybe I just assumed that she had rushed home, got dressed, and then went straight out for a run. I continued my walk until not 2 minutes later when I passed the same dark-haired lady that I previously had. But this time, she didn't have her baby in a stroller. She was wearing her baby strapped to her front. These sightings may seem insignificant to some, but I think about them often. I find it odd that the one day I decided to walk a different way to school is the one day I saw these two same characters twice, differently, in such a small space of time. Witnessed the same scene from two different perspectives. This happened in early February. I was on a hotel elevator heading to the lobby. When the doors opened, there were what looked like 4 housekeeping trainees waiting to get on the elevator, followed by an older supervisor holding a clipboard. They had to back up so that I could get off the elevator. I headed to the lobby, and then they got on. I heard the supervisor telling them that they were going to the 5th floor. About 5 minutes later, I'm headed back to my room, and as I approached the elevators, these same 5 people exited a room down the hallway and walked to the same elevator. I stopped and watched as they stood in front of the elevator door, waiting for it to open, and the supervisor told them that they were going to the 5th floor. I halfway wondered if I was about to see myself get off the elevator, but I didn't. It's possible that they went upstairs and then came back down without me seeing them, but these two scenarios were identical. The only difference was my perspective. Man, I don't know about you, but I love a good elevator glitch. Trousers replaced with a pillowcase. I'm completely baffled right now. I've lost my favorite pair of trousers. I washed them with my other trousers a few days ago, and I remember putting them in my trouser drawer with the others. The trousers are black with large buttons that make noise when being moved around. Today, I went for those same trousers, and they're gone. Completely vanished. In my trouser drawer was a pillow. I'm just going to say pants from now on. In my pants drawer was a pillowcase, and not a black one either. It was one of my satin bright cream pillowcases. My pillowcases are kept in a cupboard, and I couldn't have washed it with my pants since I haven't used the case in weeks. In no shape or form could I have accidentally mixed these up. I've hunted everywhere for these pants, and I do mean everywhere. I've even backed over several times, and they're honestly just gone. I lifted up my couch and I pulled out my bedding. Nothing. I considered someone stealing them, but I have security cameras in my house, and nothing's ever been picked up. I don't have one in my bedroom, sadly, but I have one just outside of it, so if anyone went in there, I'd still know. I have alarms on my attic door and my front and back doors too. Now, honestly, how have these gone missing? Premonition or glitch in the Matrix. This happened in the summer of 2000. The night before I was supposed to have my portraits made for my senior year, so it's very vivid still because it was the most crazy thing I've ever experienced. I will say I've always had really strong premonitions about things, and I just chalked it up to being an observant person. Anyway, my mother was away, caring for an aunt with cancer. My dad and brother had both worked outside that day, and they have horrible allergies, so they took Benadryl, and they were out. Nobody to talk to about how I was feeling, so I called my mom. It was around 10 p.m., but I called anyway, and she answered. I told her, "Mom, I can't go to sleep, because if I go to sleep right now, I'm not going to wake up." She asked for clarification, but all I could tell her for sure was, if I fall asleep in my bed right now, I'm going to die tonight. I don't know, I can just feel it. And she chalked it up to just me being nervous, with a sick aunt and mom gone a lot, and a really bad breakup the Christmas before that kept me a mess ever since. I don't know, maybe all that makes sense and was stressing me out. She told me to stretch out on the sofa and just to sleep there. So I made my spot on the sofa. About an hour and a half later, I started feeling silly. So I grabbed my pillow and I went back to my bed. I'd barely dozed off when I was woken by what sounded like rushing water, and then my windows bursting in. That's when I saw the smoke and the flames. The house next door had caught fire and was fully engulfed, and because the houses were so close, ours was starting to catch as well. I got us out, got fire and police there, and even had to have an officer get my car out of the parking spot because as I pushed the brakes to put it in gear, the brake pads melted to the tires. I did get it out, by the way. The only part of our house that caught fire was my bedroom. My dad called my mom to tell her what happened, and she screamed for him to hand me the phone. She asked, "How the hell did you know that was going to happen?" And I said, "I don't know, I didn't really. I just had the strongest feeling that I can't explain that going into a deep sleep in my bed at that time meant I would never wake up." My bed was against the windows, and the charred ceiling was on what was left of my bed. To this day, she says it's the strangest phone call she's ever gotten from me, and I still can't explain how I knew that my room wasn't safe that night. I just know that if I had gone to bed, I would have been killed in a house fire. Instead, we all got out safely and insurance fixed the damage to my room. In the end, it was a bad try at insurance fraud by the neighbor who lit candles all over his house, and then let all the cats in the room with the candles, then left. So the neighbor was fine. I mean, a horrible human, but still fine. Was this a glitch, or maybe just a gut feeling? Let me know. Wrong sound happened on my desk. I've posted before a few years ago about how I dropped some paper on a carpet and it sounded like metal for no reason. Well, it happened again, when the universe is seemingly playing tricks on me, I think. I had some bottles sitting on my desk, and I sat one in front of me because I was taking a picture of it, so my eyes never left the bottle. The only movement was me pulling my phone up in front of it, but I heard the sound of a bottle or some kind of item rolling off the desk. I stopped and looked all over. Nothing had fallen on the floor. Not that it could have without me seeing it, anyway. So I tried recreating the sound. I tried running my bracelet across the desk, moving my phone in different ways, and then I just kind of laughed at myself and rolled the bottle, thinking how silly I was for even trying that. But it was the same exact sound. I don't know. I have no explanation. Keyboard changed color. My school has a typing program where we need to learn how to type quickly on some kind of website. I forget what it's called, but I don't own a laptop. So I've been typing with my friend, we'll call her Amanda, on her old iPad and Bluetooth keyboard. Her favorite color is mint. So I wasn't surprised when she owned a mint keyboard. It was nice to look at and makes a satisfying noise, I guess. And I distinctly remember thinking about how it was her favorite color and that I might get one for myself. I even remember making a comment about how the color matched her favorite notebook and pencil, which are both mint as well. I was gone for a week because I was sick, and when I came back, and took typing class with Amanda, the keyboard was black. So I asked, "Hey, Mandy, why'd you change the color? I thought that green one was nice." She said, "What?" Like the teal mint thing that you had going on. I thought it was cute. Why'd you change it?" She just stared at me and then said, "Hey, I don't know what you're talking about. This keyboard's always been black." I laughed because I thought she was joking, but no, she was dead serious. "Mandy, you're kidding." "No, I'm not. I bought a black keyboard. Are you feeling alright, Pam?" I asked around, and everyone said it had always been black, except for one person who I'll call Randy. I said, "Hey, Randy, was Amanda's keyboard always black?" He said, "Yeah, I guess." "I don't know, though." I said, "Really? I could have sworn it used to be mint." I was about to give up, and then he said, "Oh yeah, it was, wasn't it? Hey, Mandy, why did you change the keys?" She, our classmates, hell, even the professor, all say that it's always been black, but I don't really get it, man. Did I skip timelines or something? Hey, thank you for making it all the way to the end of this episode. I really appreciate you. If you're watching on YouTube, leave a comment of your favorite emoji and let me know if you want more episodes just like this one, regular hour-long episodes. And if you're listening on an audio-only format like Spotify, then check out the poll in the description. See you in the next one.